Hey, want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?
Guys! You think we could listen to the radio or something?
Radio? Who needs a radio? Ready, Harry?
Meta.
Yeah!
Call.
Yeah!
Mon.
Yeah!
Day.
Yeah, it's Slum National Underground Thunder bounce when I stomp the ground like a million elephants, a silverback orangutan. You can't stop a train. Who wants some? Don't come unprepared.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Medical Monday. So this week we're going to continue our discussion on STEMI criteria. Dr. Beer is going to talk about Sgarbossa. So without further ado, here is Dr. Beer.
Hey everyone, so I'm going to talk to you about what to do in terms of activating a STEMI or a code STEMI at the receiving hospitals, specifically in the setting of either a left bundle branch block or a pace rhythm. So, back when I went to medical school, which is funnily enough not that long ago, I was taught, once you have a left bundle branch block or if the patient's got a pacemaker, then that's it, all bets are off. You can't really interpret it. The STEMI hides underneath everything, and you might as well just do whatever you want. And fortunately for us, that's sort of not really the case anymore. So let's look at an initial sort of normal left bundle branch block pattern on an EKG. Okay, so you got a widened QRS. You see in the precordial leads V1 through V3, specifically, you usually have a big deep S wave, so a big negative deflection, followed by a return that sort of overshoots and causes a little bit of ST segment elevation. Now, it's very easy for us to look at this and initially get concerned, maybe the patient's having a STEMI, this is some ST segment elevation, should I be concerned about this? So first thing you have to do is look at this and say, this is a left bundle branch block, so the initial criteria for STEMI don't apply. So how can we look for it? So on a normal left bundle branch block appearance, you expect to see some ST segment elevation whenever you have that big negative downward deflection. All right, so as you see here in V1 through V3, you have a primarily downward deflection followed by some ST segment elevation. If you look at 1 and AVL, for example, you have some positive upgoing QRS complexes, so big tall R waves followed by some ST depression. And what this is called is discordance. All right, this means that the ST segment goes in the opposite direction of whatever the QRS is doing. So in 1 and AVL, the QRS is mostly going up. That means the ST segment is going to go down. And in V1 through V4, the QRS is going down, so the ST segment is going to go up. That's normal in the setting of a left bundle branch block or a ventricular pacemaker. All right, so the question becomes, what then does a STEMI look like? So if we look at the criteria in general, there's essentially a scoring system, but when you're in the heat of the moment and you don't want to sit and calculate points, it really boils down to this. Does the EKG look not like it's supposed to? So remember, if the QRS goes down, you expect the ST segment to go up. If the QRS goes up, you expect the ST segment to go down. But if it's doing the opposite, where a negative QRS has ST depression, this ST segment is going in the same direction as the QRS complex, or if the QRS is up and so is the ST segment, that's called concordance, going in the same direction. And 1 millimeter or more of concordant ST movement is significant for a STEMI, all right, in the setting of a left bundle or a pacemaker. So that's the first thing you're going to look for is the ST segment concordant with the QRS? Is it going in the same direction in a left bundle branch block pattern? And if that's present, that's STEMI criteria. That should be activated and that patient should go straight to the cath lab. Now the lesser known criteria, or sort of the more confusing one, is what we refer to as extreme discordance. So much in the way that you'd get concerned about a patient who has significant ST segment depression when they have a normal bundle branch pattern or a normal conduction pattern, this is along the same line. So if you have a very, very wide change to your ST segment in the opposite direction of the QRS, so again, V1 to V3, you've got big downwards going QRS complexes, you've got a really tall ST segment. They say over 5 millimeters or one big box, or more specifically, greater than 25% of the height of that whole QRS complex. that's also pretty significant for a STEMI. It's not as good as concordant changes, but it's still pretty dangerous. So again, if you have concordant movement, the ST segment is going in the same direction as the QRS complex in a left bundle or a pacemaker, that's STEMI criteria. Or extreme discordance, the ST segment is going in the opposite direction of the QRS for more than 5 millimeters, one big box, or better, greater than 25% of the height of that QRS complex, that should also trigger you to activate a STEMI alert. So let's look at this EKG. So on this EKG, we have a normal left bundle branch block pattern. You've got a widened QRS, where in V1 through V3, you have some downgoing S waves. But look here, when you initially look at this, you say, there's something different about it. Well, where are the ST segments going? The ST segments are going in the same direction as the QRS complex. They are concordant with the QRS, and this is concerning for a STEMI. All right, feel free to ask any questions in the comments or via email, and let us know what you think.
All right, that's it, friends. Hopefully you learned something. There will not be a Medical Monday next week because it's Memorial Day. So we will see you in June. Until then, have a great 2 weeks. Enjoy the holiday. Do something fun, save a life, and we will see you next time. See ya.